with major management from international class with name B1024221008. In this occasion, I will explain about the general journal entries by Jaya Car Rental Abadi, Agustus 2022. For my midterm exam test question with subject Introduction to Accounting. So now let's get started. From first transaction is 1st Augustus deposit to BCA, 5,000 as a business capital. So as we can see that in here is deposit to BCA. It means that cash in BCA. So it's going to be in the cash in BCA and it's going to be debit because we put the cash in the BCA. And next, still deposit to BCA as a business capital. It means the cash that we put in BCA is going to be a business capital. So it's going to be Jaya Capital, Jaya Car Rental Abadi Capital. And capital is count as equity. So it means that every time equity is increased, it's going to be in credit. So we put the money in cash in BCA and Jaya Capital is increased and our money in credit. So our money in credit. Next. Still on the 1st Augustus pay office rental for Augustus 3,200 rupiah. So office rental it means we rent, and we can say that in here is rent building. So rent building it's count as expense. So every time expense is increased, every time we pay expense, it means that this transaction expense, it means that our is going to be the debit. So it's debit, and when we pay for rent building, it means that our cash is going to be decreased, and every time our cash is decreased, it's going to be credit. So next, on the 1st Augustus pay car rental to Mr. Santosa, in which it will be re-rented. 9,000 is for 3 months. So it's pay car rental to Mr. Santosa, in which it will be rented. So rent cars, as same as rent building, rent cars also count as expense. And every time we doing transaction expense, it's going to be debit because the rent is increased, and our cash is going to be credit because our cash is decreased. So in rent cars debit 9,000 and in credit 9,000. And next, on the 1st Augustus hire you as a part-time accountant. Average salary to 2,400 a month that will be paid on 1,200 on 15 and half on the end of month. Because it say that on 15, so we not going to the entry input the transaction right now because it's on the 15th. So we're going to be do it later on the 15th and half on the end of the month. So next we're gonna move to 2 Augustus received rent bill last month 1,200. So it say that it's received. When we receive, it means that our case is going to be increased. So because our case is increased, it's going to be debit. And because debit, when we doing a general journal, debit is always going to be first and credit the second. So we input the debit first and input the credit later. So cash 100 to 1,200 and account receivable because it's rent bill last month. So account receivable become credit because it decreased 1,200. Next we move 3rd Augustus received prepaid payment of car rental from Maju Mundur stop period Augustus and September 8,000. So it's achieved. Same as before, the achieved, it means that our case is going to be increased. So our case is going to be debit, and because it prepaid payment of car rental, prepaid payment, it means that we use the same name of the time, prepaid car rental, it's going to be credit because we already paid it. We already received the prepaid. So it's going. And next, on the 3rd Augustus, pay off the debt of equipment in July 500. So equipment is count as expense debit. So if it increase of it, if we doing a transaction about the equipment, it's going to be in the debit, and because we purchase it, we do the transition, our cash is going to be decreased. So it's on the credit. Next, for Augustus, fill up gasoline for cars 1,320 and buy some operational stuff such as mineral water, tissue, etc. 280. So because it fill up the gasoline for the cars, it means the name of account is gas, and buy some operational stuff such as mineral water, tissue, etc. and its equipment. So both of these is count as expense. So because we doing this transition, it means that our expense is going to be increased. So it's going in the debit, and we pay the expense using our case is, so our case is going to be decreased. So our case in the credit. Next, on the 5th Augustus, purchase on the credit office equipment and furniture 10,000 rupiah. So as we can see that it is office equipment. So it's not going to be expense because it's for office. So it's going to be asset, and in the asset, if that we buy it, we purchase it, we do the transaction for office equipment, still going to be debit. And but as we can see that in here is the on credit. It means that we not going to be use cash, but we are going to be account payable business because on credit. So if the account payable business is increased, it's going to be in credit. So next, on 8th Augustus, pay for browser 318. So it's count as advertisement, and advertisement is count as expense, and every time we do expense, it's going to be in on the debit. So because we purchase the advertisement using our cash, so our cash is going to be decreased, so in the credit. So next, on 11 Augustus, deposit to Jaya cash income for daily car rental service 1 to 10 Augustus 12,500 rupiah. So it means that our cash in BCA is going to be increased. In in the debit, and because as we can see the income for daily car rental service, so we're going to put daily car rental in here, and daily car rental is count as equity. So every time equity is increased, it's going to be credit. So next, on the 12th Augustus, receive monthly cash payment of car rental service 3,000 period to 1 to 31. So monthly cash payment is only we got from the period 1 to 31. And it means that we achieve, it means that our cash is going to be increased. So in the debit, 3,000 rupiah, and because it only car rentals, or we can see that our monthly car rental also increase. So monthly car rental is equity. So if the equity is increased, it's going to be in credit. Next, on the 13 Augustus, pay for the rental of two cars entrusted by Mr. Rahmat, 5,000 rupiah. Because we rent cars, it means that we we are going to pay for it, and rent cars is count as expense. So rent cars is going on the debit, and 5,000 rupiah, and we are pay the cars using our cash, so our cash is going to be decreased on 5,000 rupiah. So it's already on the 15. So in the 15, we are going to pay our part-time accountant 1,200 rupiah for the period 1 to 15 Augustus. So that is count as a salary part-time accountant, and salary is count as expense. And expense, if we you doing the transition for expense, it's going to be in the debit, so increase debit because it increase, and we pay it from our case, so our case is going to be decreased, and it means that if our case is decreased, it's going to be in the credit. Move to the 15 Augustus. In the 18 Augustus, we fill up gasoline for daily car rental 615 rupiah. So we purchase gas. So gas is count as expense, and every time it means that it's going to be in debit. So 615 rupiah on the debit, and we use our case is going to be decreased because we purchased the gas. It means and the credit is 6,500 rupiah. So move to the 21 Augustus, purchase on credit supplies for car cleaning and office stationery 715 rupiah. As you can see that in the purchase on credit supplies for car cleaning and office stationery, it means that it's office equipment. So as same as before, office equipment is count as asset, and every time we doing the transition of office asset, if it increase, it's going to be in the debit. So on the debit office equipment 715 rupiah, and account payable because it's on credit, so account payable and business, if it increase, it's going to be in credit. So in the credit 715 rupiah. So next, on the August 2022 Augustus, paid advertisement for the publication from 24 to 20 Augustus 1 1,600. So I mean that advertisement is expense, so it's going to the debit, and our case is going to the credit because our case is decreased. So next, on the 23 Augustus received a down payment of 1,500 for daily car rental for 5 days. The total agreed rental price is 2,500. The remaining bill will be paid in the September. Uh, Prepaid income is going decrease, so every time prepaid income is going to be decreased, it's going to be in the debit, and but account receivable is increased because the remaining bill will be paid in September. It means that it account receivable and such as asset, and asset, if asset is increased, it's going on the debit. So account receivable is debit. So prepaid income 1,500, and one account receivable 100, and daily car rental the calculate the total is 2,500. daily car rental is increased. So we move to next. 27 Agustus by the Agustus Pawn Bill of 620. So pawn bill is count as expense. So every time expense is increased, it's going to be debit. So we write this as electricity telepon PDAM. So the debit 620 and our case is decreased 620. And next, on the 28th, Augustus purchased daily car rental 1,200 and refill drinking water for office 100. So it means that we purchase gas, so expand, so in the debit 1,200 and drinking water for office it's called as equipment consumable and it's increased, so it expands and it's going to be in the debit also. So we pay it. Our case is decreased and our case is in credit one 1,300 rupiah. So next on the 30 Augustus receive a upfront payment of 6,000 for a monthly car rental to be used in September. So it means that our our money is it's upfront because we receive the upfront. It means that our prepaid income is increased. So it means that if the prepaid income is a liability, so if it increase, it's going to be in the credit six 6,000. Next on there's a 30 Augustus paid the Augustus driver salary 3,000 and the part-time accountant salary 1,200. So it means that we going to pay driver salary and part-time salary, and driver salary is count as an expense. So it's every time we doing a transaction expense and it increase, it's going to be in the debit. So driver salary at the debit 3,000 rupiah and part-time salary 1,200 rupiah, and our case that decreased because we paid the salary is 4,200 rupiah. And next, in the 31 Agustus, deposit to BCA cash income of car rental service for from 1 to 30 Agustus 5,000 rupiah. So I mean that our cash in the BCA is going to be increased. So in the debit 5,600 rupiah, and because it car rental service from 1 to 30 Agustus, it means that it's monthly. So we put that monthly car rental. So monthly car rental is count as equity, and every time equity is increased, it's going to be in the credit. So equity 5,600 rupiah. And next, so on the 31 Augustus paid the cost of routine car service 1,800. It means that pay the cost. It means that it it's going to be it's going to be expense, and repairing cost is called as expense, and every time we expand it's we doing transition expense and it means that it's going to be in the debit. So repairing cost in the debit 1,800 rupiah, and our case is going to be decreased 1,000 so it's on credit 1,800 rupiah. And next on the 31 Augustus with the cash for from BCA to Mr. Janet 2,000 rupiah. It means that withdraw income is come as a debit, and because our cash is decreased, so our cash in the credit. Next, on the 31 Augustus, pay bank loan installment to buy a car. Augustus payment consists of principal with installment 2,500 and interest 1,600. So it means that bank loan, it means that our bank debt. If we pay bank debt, it means that bank debt is count as liabilities, and every time we doing transaction liabilities and it increase, it's going to be in the debt credit if it increase, but if it decrease, it's going on the debit. So because we pay, so it means that our bank debt is going to be decreased, so it's on the debit, and interest is count as expense. So every time expense is increased, it's going to the debit. So debit 1,600 rupiah, and our case that we use is going to be in credit because it decreased 4,100 rupiah. And the total of the transaction or this journal from debit is 91,618 rupiah, and the credit also same because if the if they both did not same, it's not, it means that they're not balanced, and if if the transaction and the general journal total is not balanced, it means there's some mistake in here. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it, and goodbye.